we're back again with Liverpool. The long-awaited league season is underway in Spain and England. We're here to talk about the games we've seen so far. Craig, how do you think the start of the season has been? Is it satisfying enough, or do you think we've missed some of the fireworks that we saw last year?
No, I think it's been pretty good. It's been pretty interesting, especially in the Premier League, English Premier League. It's been pretty interesting. We saw Swansea win 5-0. We saw things like Fulham win 5-0. We saw Liverpool lose 3-0 to West Brom, which was pretty interesting. We saw Man United lose to Everton. So a lot of interesting results all around. I think you can't really look at the results on face value on a lot of the games. I think where Chelsea won 2-0 to Wigan, I thought Wigan were the better team. It was very interesting all around. What do you think, Kieran?
Yeah, I thought the Premier League was pretty good this week as well. Some big upsets. La Liga, probably pretty expected there. Same old La Liga there. Good stuff from Barca. Good start for them. But great to have football back.
Yeah, that's right. So since we're on the topic, let's just talk about some of the big games that we saw in the EPL so far. Let's take it from last night, Everton versus Man United. Well, it was a shock start to Manchester, and in my opinion, it wasn't one of those games where the underdogs get a goal somehow on the counter-attack and get lucky in defending the remainder of the game. United had more possession, but Everton had more shots, so it was well contested. And to me, it looked like a mid-table game, really, and United did not look anything like the foes they are in the Premier League.
No, I mean, a lot of you look at the shots, it was 18-14 in Everton's favour, but a lot of those shots from Man United came in the last 10 minutes or so. So before that, Everton were all over them. The Man United had the possession, but they had well and above, the amount of shots and the good chances as well. I thought Fellaini was brilliant. One of the best performances of the weekend. But their defence, like last season, their defence I think was the third best in the Premier League behind Man City and Man United. And I think it stepped up again. It was just brilliant this morning. I thought it was really, really good. Players like Hibbert absolutely dominated Evra was trying to come down and Hibbert would stop him every time. I think I saw it 3 or 4 times at least. Howard is brilliant in goal. On the other side, Bands was good as well. Yeah, Man United never really had any counter to this. Their midfield was very, very poor. Cleverly and Scholes didn't really ever click. Kagawa had a few good chances, played in a few good passes, but the midfield was just overrun and dominated time and time again. And I think the defence was pretty poor as well. Carrick playing a centre-back. Vidic just seemed to have lost his pace, and they were just getting overrun. I think they've got a lot of issues there, and if they really want to make a stand for this season, like we've said before, like Kieran have said before, that they really need to make a midfield buy or a defensive buy.
Yeah, I completely agree there. Carrick in defence, they've got so many problems there as well, and I think cleverly started in midfield. They've probably got to buy someone there. But they've got all these players up front. I don't know what they're going to do with them all. RVP now. But yeah, my little claim to fame for the week, I did tip Everton as United's bogey team, and I spoke a bit about Cahill last week being a important player in the past for Everton, but Fellaini, probably the other one who's always really impressed me against United. And, I think David Moyes does a great job there at Everton, and they're a bit inconsistent at times, but they're capable of a lot, that team. And, yeah, they're always good to watch, I think, in these big games.
It looks like someone's won a bit of money there, and Kieran really did a lot happy about this Everton United game. And I remember he did actually tip Everton.
Yep. My claim to fame for the week.
Okay, so moving on from there, it was next up, we're talking about Wigan versus Chelsea. Well, it was smooth sailing for Chelsea, really. They made their point in the opening day. Roberto Di Matteo made big moves in the transfer market early, and he can boast his decisions because new signing Hazard was party to both the goals. What do you think about that one, Craig?
Yeah, I mean, both the goals came within 7 minutes, and, you thought, oh, this game might open up. Wigan might give up the ghost, and this could be a big scoreline. But credit to Wigan, I really thought that they were the better team after that 7 minutes. If they had a striker that was worth a grain of salt, they could have beat Chelsea. They had so many chances, and so many times, I can't even remember the amount of times that Maloney, Figueroa and Moses absolutely dominated Ivanovic and Cole down the wings. I think they got in over 20 crosses down the wings, and the problem was They just had no one to finish. There was no one there most of the time. I thought Cole and Ivanovic were very, very poor in that regard. It just seemed, I know that, you're 2-0 up after 7 minutes. You don't just give up the play that much, It just seems like they sat back and they just tried to defend instead of doing anything else. And Wigan were the better team, I have to say. I thought they were played extremely well. I thought Moses was extremely good. I thought the wingers were very good. I thought, as I said before, if they had a striker worth anything, they could have scored 3, 4, maybe 5 goals.
Yeah, this was, also I thought maybe Chelsea might have switched off a bit after getting it 2-0 ahead because they didn't, like you said, they didn't really show much after that first 10 minutes and they, the penalty was a bit soft. So, I mean, clearly still plenty of room to improve there for them. Yeah, Chelsea could have some trouble against Newcastle United next week if they play the same way. Newcastle did quite well this week.
Right, so, and moving on from that game, let's talk about Manchester City versus Southampton. Now, you both tipped City to be the strongest team in the EPL this year. We haven't seen a lot yet. It's just one game. But City ran away with 3 points in the end, but they really had to leave it late. Nasri got a last gasp winner for them. This goes to show the options and the capabilities Manchester City have in winning these frustrating games. What's your take on this one, Craig?
Interesting formation from Southampton, just coming up from the lower leagues. I thought they were very, very interesting. They countered really well. I did not expect this. I looked at the Manchester City lineup and I thought, wow, they're going to win, 6-0 easily. And after Silva missed that penalty, it was always game on. Players like Schneiderlin I thought was very impressive. When we saw Davis and Lambert come on, the whole game changed and it was literally end to end. Lambert, who's been the top scorer for the bottom 3 leagues last 3 seasons, he only took 4 minutes and scored against, the Premier League winners. So I thought that was pretty brilliant. They should start him from now on in. Davis was very good coming on, scoring another goal. And it looked for a while there that Southampton might get a result, but it wasn't to be with Nasri scoring the winner in the end. Yeah, Aguero was injured as well, but fears that he was going to be out for 6 months, but that was laid to rest. I think he might be back within the month. People might are saying at the moment. So looks like Tevez is going to have to take over from the goal scoring duties, and they've got players like Jack and Balotelli who can take over that as well. So it's not a problem at all.
A bit of update there. I've read a tweet on Aguero's official Twitter account, and he wants people to know that his knee injury is not very significant. It's not going to keep him out for a very long time, as some people might have thought. So while we're on the topic of Manchester City, a bit of update here as well, because Swansea winger Scott Sinclair is reportedly on his way to Manchester City.
Yeah, he's a good player, Sinclair, but I'm not sure whether it's completely the right move for him, just because he will probably struggle to get time there, and I think he's perfectly suited to Laudrup's sort of playing style. And, I mean, Swansea clearly showing a lot of promise with their 5-0 win over QPR. QPR were a bit of a mess, but definitely some promising signs there. I mean, I think Michu is maybe the signing of the summer. £2 million. I mean, if he was English, he'd be worth maybe 20 million pounds. So, yeah, just a ridiculous bargain there, and really rate Laudrup as a manager. I guess another bit of an upset this week was Liverpool losing to West Bromwich Albion. Craig, did you catch that one?
Yeah, it was pretty comical. Typical Liverpool style. Conceded 2 penalties and got a red card within like 4 minutes. So, I mean, West Brom actually played really, really well, and you saw once Lukaku came on, they could have scored a lot more. Lukaku's going to be very, very good for them. We talked about him last week, you and me, Kieran, saying that he could do really well there, and he showed a lot of promise. I thought Liverpool, I don't know what was going on there. I thought Allen played very well, but the defense was shocking, but they just lacked that extra player that can win you games. Suarez missed a couple of sitters as well, which didn't help. I mean, they had 16 shots and only 2 on target, and that really does say a lot about the quality you've got up front. But more so than that, both ends of the ground, the defense was really poor and really no one there to score goals for them, whereas Albion, seemed everything was going right for them.
Yeah, well, like we were saying last week, there's clearly a lot of work to be done, I think, and exactly like you say, there's no real match-winning players. I think, Suarez has his days, but he also has his bad days, so definitely a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, with Suarez especially, he seems to me a player that would suit best playing on the left or right forward rather than playing as a central forward and playing off someone rather than being the focal point of attack. I don't know. How do you think about that as well, or?
Yeah, I guess the problem is look at their other options, Andy Carroll, and I guess Barini coming in now, but also I think he's maybe a sort of player who prefers to cut in off the wing.
Yeah, well, I mean, Carroll's not going to do much for you, but they surely have to spend some more money on this squad. Maybe buy a better striker, and I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be a long season if they don't really improve from here.
I've always thought Llorente would be the perfect player for them, but why would he want to move to them now, really?
Yeah, it'd be pretty much leaving the Spanish version of Bilbao for the English version of Bilbao.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's no disrespect to Liverpool at all, but they're not at this stage really in the top echelon of teams. Another good game on the weekend I thought was Newcastle versus Tottenham. Newcastle getting the win there 2-1. I thought Ben Afra was an absolute brilliant player in this game. He just dominated Tottenham. Tottenham looked like they had all the game early on, but Newcastle came out in the end on top. How'd you see this game, Kieran?
Yeah, Newcastle are a team that I think could potentially even challenge for the top four. With Arsenal looking a bit impotent up front. Obviously, we talk about Liverpool already, Tottenham as well. I mean, I'm pretty sure Newcastle are in the mix there. They've got some really good players. The two up front, Bar and Cisse, that's a mouth-watering combination for me. And yeah, like you said, they got some good wingers there. Ben Arfa's really, really good player when he gets going. Disappointing from Spurs, I guess, but great performance from Newcastle for me.
Yeah, I saw Tottenham hit the post twice as well with Defoe and Bale, so that was a bit unlucky for them. But in the end, I think Newcastle were the better team despite having less shots overall.
Yeah, I think Spurs could do with another striker, really.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be a big problem, especially with Modric seemingly on the way out. That's still up in the air as it's been spoken at the moment. I think the latest rumor was that Tottenham offered Modric to Chelsea for 40 million to try and get Real Madrid to up their bid, and apparently Real Madrid have said no, thank you. We're not upping our bid at all, and it's sort of stalled the progress a bit at the moment.
Yeah, and the other game there, Arsenal held by Sunderland. Did you catch that one?
Yeah, everyone's talking about the miss by Giroud, but I think Arsenal had a lot more problems than that. I mean, they seemingly dominated the match mostly. They had 23 shots, and they just could not find a way through. I think Podolski, if they're looking at him to become the next RVP and play just as well, they're sorely mistaken. I thought he was terrible. That being said, I thought Cazorla was amazing. He set up 7 shots, which is the most for any player in the first round, and still they couldn't find a goal. I mean, pretty poor.
Yeah, that they don't have a replacement for RVP. That's the problem. And this week, I think Wenger said he wants to buy 2 players, but he said a midfielder and a defender, and I'm not really sure. I mean, I think they need to replace Alex Song now, but they do need to replace RVP because I don't see Podolski or Giroud really filling that hole.
No, I mean they're talking about Sahin going to Arsenal as well, and that's still up in the air. Could be going to Liverpool or Arsenal, but I don't see him really fixing their problems. I mean, they've got players that can create in that team. They've got Walcott, they've got Cazorla, they've got Gervinho, those sort of players. They really need either a hard-hitting midfielder or, as well as a solid defender.
Yeah, they got 1,000,001 creative midfielders. That's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, whether it does matter to them or not, Shaheen's transfer to Arsenal might be finalised today as his agent was seen at the Bernabeu in a meeting earlier this morning. So let's move on to La Liga and see what happened there in the first week. Greg, what have you got from Spain.
Yeah, interesting results. We saw Malaga, despite all their difficulties, beat Celta Vigo 1-0. Sevilla came out and beat Getafe 2-1. Mallorca beat Espanyol 2-1. We saw Levante and Atletico Madrid draw 1-1. Deportivo La Coruña marked their entrance back into La Liga with a 2-0 win over Osasuna. Rayo Vallecano with a 1-0 win over Granada, and Zaragoza losing to Valladolid 1-0. The three big games that I think are the most interesting at the moment, Athletic Bilbao losing to Real Betis 5-3. We saw Real Madrid and Valencia draw 1-1, and Barcelona smash Real Sociedad 5-1 at home.
Yeah, well, like the big one, I guess, was Real Madrid-Valencia, and I guess Valencia got the job done there. Came away with a point. Didn't really matter how they did it. I don't think it's really anything to worry about for Real Madrid, really, though. First game of the season. I mean, Valencia is a great team. We know that. I think they'll be fine. As for Athletic Bilbao, I guess, I mean, they were missing their two best players, and I think they've had quite a bit of issues lately, and that's going to be one club I'm going to follow. As for Betis, I really like this Benyat in midfield. He played very well, and I think he's just another one of those players that Spain keeps rolling out, these brilliant midfielders. Already seeing Cazorla go over there to England and just show what Spanish football's all about. There's just so many of these great players in Spain.
Yeah, I saw the Real Madrid-Valencia game, and I did say last week on our podcast that, you know, it would be a hard win for Real Madrid and that most likely to get a draw. Players weren't fit and coming back from the FIFA internationals, and you could see that Ronaldo was never really in the game. Ozil looked out of sorts as well. The two players that really stood out for me were Alonso and Higuain. I thought they were very, very good, but the rest just weren't up to par. Then you have that collision with Casillas and Pepe. Pepe ended up spending the night in hospital in ICU, but he's looking good at the moment and might be back for our next La Liga fixture, but definitely will not play in the opening game of the Super Cup. So, yeah.
Perhaps a bit of karma for Pepe.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. But yeah, as you were saying, I don't think it's anything to worry about for Real Madrid, because last time they drew their opening league game at the Bernabeu, which was 0-0 against Villarreal in 2006, they went on to win the league. So maybe that's a bit of an omen there. We can only hope. Isn't that right, Kieran?
Yeah. Well, like they were saying, Pep Guardiola began his tenure with Barcelona with a loss, and obviously we know how that ended up.
Yeah, you never know with football, especially this earlier on. But Barcelona looking so good as they are. I mean, I think they're undefeated in 64 of the last 68 La Liga matches, which is just ridiculous when you think about it. I thought Messi was very good, grabbed those 2 goals earlier on. I thought Tello was very, very good. I wasn't too impressed with Fabregas in midfield. I still think he's got a way to go. I thought Pedro was very, very good. Xavi is good as always. And Puyol, you know, doesn't matter how old he is, he's still a legend, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I did think there were probably, if there was any criticism you could make, it was probably in defence. Thing was, Alba and Alves were both bombing forward at the same time, and Busquets wasn't actually really dropping back a lot. So we actually had only 2 players back there, and I think a team other than Real Sociedad probably could have exploited that a bit more. They got some good players, but they just struggled to hit them quick enough on the counter. But, you know, I think first day you're just looking for 3 points and some promising signs, and they tick both those boxes. Really, really entertaining game for me. I thought they were a bit more direct and higher tempo under Tito.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
People might not realize this, but it was actually a different style. They played the same way, but it was a different style. I mean, we did see what you talked about with Real Sociedad's only goal, where they hit him on the counter and they'll manage to get there very quick. And they had a couple other chances like that. But Barcelona were very, very direct, a lot more direct than what I usually see them under Pep Guardiola in their style of play. I thought Iniesta was very good coming off the bench as well, and David Villa grabbing his first league goal since November of 2011. So it was big for him to get a goal, come back from injury and everything like that as well. So a lot of good signs for Barcelona coming out of this game. Moving on to the Bilbao versus Betis match. They 5 goals, leading in 5 goals at home to Betis is terrible to say the least. They were without their 2 best players, Martinez and Laurent, who are up in the air about moving. Laurent apparently might be moving to Juventus. Juventus have made an $18 million bid, and Martinez apparently going to Bayern for $40 million. How do you see that, Kieran?
Yeah, well, it means problems for Bilbao, doesn't it? And I'm not really sure about this move to Bayern for Martinez. I'm not really sure how he fits into their plans, but of course, Llorente is going to improve Juventus over there. He's a great player. I've always thought he's the sort of player that, Bilbao sort of holding him back. I think he's really probably one of the best strikers in football, and if he moves somewhere else, just gets a bit more service, he's a great player, really.
How do you see it, Maz? Do you see Laurent doing well outside of Bilbao?
Well, with a player like Llorente, of course, we've seen him play for Spain, we've seen him play for Bilbao. He is a great striker. Like I said, with a player like him, you would, of course, expect things from him. But I think it comes down to whether Llorente's success has been because of the way Bilbao play, or is it something in his own instinct that has helped him get all the goals and all the achievements that he's got so far. But it looks as if he's interested in winning trophies. For that matter, he might fancy a move away from Bilbao.
Yeah, I think if he wants to win a trophy, Juventus is the place to go for him. He'll get a lot of service there. He won't be competing for anyone else, much like he does at Bilbao already. And I think he'll get a lot of goals there because the service that Juventus dish out, if it's anything like last season, was absolutely phenomenal. They had almost as many shots as Real Madrid. I think they did have as many shots as Real Madrid and Barcelona. They just had no one really to score as much. And I think if they get a striker like Llorente, they could do very well.
Yeah, and especially with the way Milan and Inter have been doing. I don't know about Europe, but Llorente does have the Serie A guaranteed over there.
Well, on Serie A it starts this weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm of the opinion that Serie A has dropped a level or two, especially with AC Milan getting rid of its 2 best players, and the league just really doesn't seem have the same sort of shine on it that it has in years gone by. I really think Juventus are going to run away with the league title this year. I can't see anyone to stop them. I mean, Fiorentina's made some good buys. Napoli have got a good squad, but they've never really shown to be that good in the league. Inter really nowhere near the team they were when Jose Mourinho was in charge. But looking ahead to the fixtures, you see Juventus play Parma, Fiorentina play Udinese, which could be a very good cracking game, probably the game of the round for Serie A. AC Milan take on Sampdoria. Don't see AC Milan winning that one. Probably last year I would have said that was a great game to watch, but in current states it's probably not. Palermo take on Napoli, which should be a close one. Pescara versus Inter. Roma versus Catania. I think Roma is going to be interesting to watch this season under the new coach. Watching their friendlies, they've had some very interesting formations brought out. Genoa versus Cagliari, Torino versus Siena, Atlanta versus Lazio, and Chievo versus Bologna. How do you see it, Kieran?
Yeah, I think you've got the nail on the head with Fiorentina, Udinese being the game to watch. To be honest, Serie A is not really my favourite league, and as you say, I think not going to be as competitive this year. So, I mean, there are some interesting teams to watch there, particularly interested in Fiorentina after all their buying, and Roma as well.
Well, looking ahead as well, another league that's starting up is the Bundesliga, who had a very interesting finish to the title last season with Bayern, the favourites, coming second, and Borussia Dortmund, again, winning the league title. With Kagawa moving away, do you still see Borussia being able to win the title, Kieran?
I think Bayern have strengthened a bit, so I mean they're clearly very keen to win it back over them. But we did see Borussia Dortmund win the German SuperCup in pre-season. I think they will they will still be very strong. In a way, I think it's a little bit like Spain. It's probably going to be ultimately fought between those two, though I would probably tip Bayern. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how they play with Rouse in the team now, Borussia Dortmund, who's essentially replacing Kagawa. If they can get clicking with Rouse and Götze, I think they can mount a good challenge to Bayern Munich. But it's going to be close, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. I think it's going to be a league much better to watch than Serie A. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive. I see a lot of other teams in there that have impressed me a lot as well. We've got Schalke, who I think won their cup match 5-0, and that was without Klaas-Jan Huntelaar. So I think that could be a threat as well. It's interesting. There's a few good games coming up in the start of the round. We see Borussia Dortmund take on Werder Bremen, which should be a good game to watch. Hanover take on Schalke. Bayern Munich take on Gruther Fürth in their first game, which they should absolutely demolish them. Be interesting to see how Gladbach do without Rouse against Hoffenheim. Some interesting games there. I think the most interesting fixture coming up this week that everyone should be tuning in to watch is the Super Cup, the pre-season cup pretty much between Real Madrid and Barcelona, the two Clasico matches. The way Real Madrid played and when watching the way Barcelona played, I'm a bit worried as a Real Madrid fan. I'm hoping that Ronaldo can find his form quickly. We're going to be without Pepe, which I know a lot of people don't like the way he plays, but he's been pretty important in those Clasico fixtures. He's hard-hitting and throwing Barcelona off balance a little bit. So, it's a bit worrying to see Albion, who's most likely going to take his spot. I'd like to see Varane, but he's very young, and it could be very detrimental to a player's progress. How do you see it, Kieran?
Pepe will be a big loss. I think that's one thing. I do think Barca will take a bit of confidence out of their win on the weekend. They'll probably approach this a little bit more cautiously just because, as I was saying before, times they only had two at the back there. Will be interesting to see whether he goes with Alba or Adriano at left back. Otherwise, the only real change, I think Iniesta will come in midfield, and probably he'll start with Alexis instead of Teo. Yeah, one thing I thought, Barca finished second last year, but I can tell you that they don't feel inferior to Real Madrid, and they'll definitely be out to prove a point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially since the first games are at home to Barcelona. I think it'll be interesting to see whether Jose Mourinho comes out with a strong starting 11, usual starting 11, or he'll play a formation, with three midfielders and just try and get away with a draw, 1-1 or a 0-0, and then try and win the game at home. Be very interesting to see because I feel that we can exploit Barcelona on the counter if you guys do play like you did against Real Sociedad. That being said, players like Ronaldo really need to step up their game real quick, smart. Ozil's obviously going to be playing a lot deeper, and he needs to play better. It'll be interesting to see who starts out of Higuain and Benzema. I know that in fixtures gone past that Jose Mourinho has favoured Benzema, but it seems like lately that Higuain has got the nod in Jose Mourinho's eyes. How do you see that?
Yeah, well, I think either of those players, both of them are quite good players up front, really. For me, Ozil and Di Maria will be the real big ones. I've always really been more impressed by these players and also Benzema rather than Ronaldo really against us. I know Ronaldo scored a few big goals last year, but yeah, I mean, the number of times I watched Di Maria and thought, wow, this guy's really playing just as well. I do think, there's so many options up front there in attack there for Real Madrid. It's going to be a bit of a handful.
Another question I got for you is, do you see Villa starting over Teo now that he's been bled in a little bit?
No. The main reason I think is because he actually started in the Gamper Trophy last night against Sampdoria. No other starters played in that game, and I'm pretty sure that's a good indication of the fact that he'll probably sit on the bench. I think he may come on late if needed, or it will be interesting to see, but he won't start. I'm pretty sure of that.
How do you see it, Muzz? You've been listening to us banter about this.
Personally, I'm a bit more interested in the psychological side of this battle that we're going to see, because with Guardiola and Mourinho in charge of the respective clubs, I think Barcelona got the edge over Real Madrid in most of the occasions because the psychology that haunted Real Madrid and favoured Barcelona. Our players, sorry, I shouldn't probably say our here, but Real Madrid usually getting the blame for being a bit more rough and a bit less disciplined than Barcelona, and we could see the Barcelona midfield taking advantage of this situation. I'll be interested in seeing this now under Tito Villanova, if that continues in the same way, or is there some sort of a change in this regard?
Yeah, I mean, we saw Real Madrid start to get the edge above Barcelona last season in the last two times we played them, and you see the players' mentality changed a little bit because we didn't. It seems like every game we came into against Barcelona, we gave up the ghost early. It was like we couldn't win, and now they've got a confidence that they can actually beat this team. And Barcelona are a great team, don't get me wrong, but I do feel Real Madrid can and should be able to beat them. There's no reason why they can't. They've got the players there, but as I said, it's only a pre-season cup. Both coaches don't really care if they win or not. They've put their focus on La Liga as a whole because La Liga started, and it's going to be shortly afterwards as well. So I think we're going to see, maybe a few second string players starting. I don't think too much will be put on the onus of winning this early on.
For that reason, I hope that it'll be a good match, really.
Yeah, I hope there's not much controversy because I just cannot deal with, the bickering back and forth of this should have happened or that should have happened.
Absolutely. So let's hope the first two Clásicos of the season are free from controversy. And on this note, we should look to end today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Do follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget, La Revue is also available on iTunes. Thank you for listening, and do join us again next week.